Hello and welcome to Rise Unwind. My name is Dan. You know, each and every week we talk to people from across the country about things you can do right now in your neighborhood. And on this week's show, we got this.
It's usually a sign that there's bacteria that has turned into plaque and tartar and built up on your dog's teeth. That's the most common cause of bad dog breath.
The storms are getting more frequent, more intense. We're seeing this across the country, the wildfires in the west, the tornadoes and storms in the central part of the country, and of course, in Florida and on the eastern seaboard, you've got the risk of hurricanes.
Chicken breast, if you can't even be bothered to cook it, again, back to the grocery store, get one of those beautiful rotisserie chickens.
You know, I get an in because I'm always here and I'm boots on the ground here at actual Netflix.
All of that and more right here on Rise and Unwind. Have you ever taken a dream opportunity only to realize something feels very wrong? That's the setup behind Strung, the new Peacock thriller from acclaimed filmmaker Malcolm D. Lee. The film follows a gifted violinist who becomes entangled in the world of a wealthy and mysterious family, where secrets seem to be hiding around pretty much every corner. Malcolm is the director behind favorites like the Best Man franchise and Girls Trip, and now he's taking audiences somewhere much darker. Malcolm, welcome.
Man, I love that intro. That was awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Thank you for that. Strung starts with a talented musician getting what seems like the opportunity of a lifetime. What drew you to the story and the tension at the center of it?
You know, when I read Alan McElroy's script, I could not put it down. You know, it just was a page turner. I was talking to it out loud. It was speaking to me. I was speaking back to it, and I just said I gotta dip my toe into this genre of thrillers and this erotic psychological thriller.
You've built a career directing comedies, dramas, and ensemble films that audiences really connect with. What was exciting about stepping into the thriller genre with Strung?
You know, I think audiences still want to see these kinds of movies, you know, and I love the opportunity to do something different and outside of my comfort zone. And not necessarily outside of my comfort zone, but something different that I hadn't done before. And it was nice to not have to cut to the joke, you know, and just be able to tell the story with a different pacing, a different tone. And I want to challenge myself in that regard, get the right cast and get the right crew behind me. And this crew that I've been working with has been a crew that I've been with before and collaborated on many, many things. But to work with this cast was amazing as well.
Chloe Bailey carries so much of the story as Layla. What made her the right choice for this role, and what did she bring to the character?
You know, Chloe, I hadn't worked with before, but I knew about her, and I thought she would be a great asset to for this role. And when I saw her, and when we got to talking and we got to know each other a little bit more and work together, I was amazed by what she was able to do, because Layla has to do so many things in this movie and play so many different colors, you know, from being emotional to being vulnerable to being sexy and maternal. And all kinds of colors that she had to play, that I was just like, wow, she really, really brought a lot to the table. And I'm very, very proud of the work that she did in this movie. She's really, really talented.
One of the things that makes this film work is the atmosphere and sense of there's something not quite right. How did you approach building that suspense without giving too much away?
Yeah, you know, the thing is, everybody in this movie, every character in this movie is hiding something. You know, it's most, you know, emblematic by the little girl that she's tutoring, Zuri, with her actual mask. But everyone in this movie is masking something, whether it's trauma or grief or something to that effect. And I wanted to make sure that everything on the surface looked presentable and comely and beautiful and opulent. And so it started with the house. And you see this inviting environment that is a little antiseptic, but just like, oh, it's lush and it's beautiful. But underneath all of that, you find that there's some dark things.
And looking at your career, you know, The Best Man, Girls Trip, and now Strung, what continues to inspire you as a storyteller, and what kinds of stories are you most interested in telling next?
Yeah, you know, I am incredibly blessed to have the opportunity to get paid for what I love to do. And I want to keep challenging myself and bringing entertainment to audiences. That's the main thing. I like to have to entertain people and make them feel good, make them feel, you know, emotions one way or another. And in this case, we're taking them on a thrill ride. And in the future, I hope to do, you know, the same kinds of things, you know, whether it's with a thriller, whether it's a comedy or a musical or a drama. I love, working with actors and bringing a vision to life for audiences to enjoy.
Malcolm, I want to thank you for joining me today. Strung is now streaming on Peacock. You can watch the film and learn more by visiting peacocktv.com. Malcolm D. Lee, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Dan.
Summer is a great time to catch on the shows and movies everyone's talking about, but whether you're at home or on the road, Netflix has packed a lineup this season, plus some features that can help travel and family movie nights even easier. So joining us today is Vanessa Lachey, host of Love is Blind, The Ultimatum, and to share what's coming to Netflix this summer. Welcome to the show, Vanessa. How are you, my friend?
Thank you for having me. I'm good.
That's good to hear. I hear Netflix has a huge lineup this summer. What are some of the movies and shows that you think people should be adding to their watch list this year?
Ooh, well, I'm just excited to talk about all the fun things Netflix that people don't really know about. I get an in because I'm always here and I'm boots on the ground here at actual Netflix. But coming up, we have Enola Holmes 3. That's going to come out July 1st. For the sports fans, the MLB Home Run Derby is going to be live July 13th, which is always fun for people to watch live. The Ultimatum, as you mentioned, season 4, the show that my husband and I do, comes out July 15th, which is my wedding anniversary. What a gift. There's just something for everyone. Oh, Little House on the Prairie is going to be premiering on Netflix July 9th, and it's a beautiful reimagining of the original. But what's so great over the summer is all the features that Netflix has to offer that you just alluded to. They can download a movie or a show or the entire season. There's some really amazing remind me buttons because we all have a lot going on in our minds as it is, so we don't need to also think about when that show is going to drop that they're excited about. And the parental controls are bar none that really make it safe for our kids to be on the app and navigating the app because you have control as the parent. And what's really beautiful about Netflix Playground specifically for little kids is that there's no ads and there's no in-app purchases. So it's just a kid being a kid, playing games with characters they love that are on Netflix, like Peppa Pig or Sesame Street and Big Bird, Gabby's Dollhouse. So it's a really safe place for them to take a break, come in, or if you're traveling, you're sitting on a plane for 5 hours, you can know that they have a safe space to go to.
All right, let's get to that season 4 of Ultimatum. Can you tell us more about this season and what kind of makes it a fun summer watch?
Oh my goodness. Well, I think that The Ultimatum is always a fun watch period because every season is so different. And it's really a great way for people to watch these couples, how they navigate their relationships, how they navigate their trial marriages, and then when they get back to their original couple, and just kind of see what works and what doesn't work. Because I feel like so often we don't get the luxury of a third-person perspective in relationships. And when I watch it with Nick, we actually talk to each other. Like, did you see how they handled that fight? Or, oh my gosh, she was doing that. Would you do that? And you kind of clock what works and what doesn't work or what's crazy or what's not crazy. And it's a great way for relationships, I think, to get stronger. Or you kind of see the writing on the wall and you're like, man, this person is like this in the show and I need to run kind of thing. These are red flags that I'm not seeing, but he does the same thing or she does the same thing. So it's great that it takes real life into accountability.
All right, and you also mentioned something about travel and how Netflix can make it easier. Can you tell us about some of the Netflix features or hacks that can make that easier?
I was surprised when I was telling my friends how people aren't aware of downloading on the app. You don't have to have Wi-Fi all the time to be able to access Netflix. In fact, what we do in our household is before we have long trips when we're going coast to coast, flying or whatnot, is the kids sit down and they pick their favorite movie or shows and we download them prior. So I'm at home with my Wi-Fi, my strong Wi-Fi, we've got it on there. And then wherever you are, when you're traveling, it's accessible to you in your profile. So the kids will just click their profile and then whatever they've downloaded is there. And you can take it a step further and do the subtitles. So if you're, on a plane or if you're in the car and everyone's kind of got their thing going on, you can add reading to it and make it an interactive show, if you will. But again, the parental controls that I spoke about earlier, that's just a really big thing that I think is important for parents and for kids nowadays.
Vanessa Lachey, I really want to thank you for joining me today to explore everything coming to Netflix this summer, including new series, movies, games, and family favorites. Visit Netflix.com or open the Netflix app to browse the latest releases and set reminders for upcoming premieres. Vanessa, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Have you ever wondered what it would be like to bring out one of the most beloved family stories ever told to a new generation? Little House on the Prairie is now streaming on Netflix, introducing the Ingalls family to longtime fans and first-time viewers alike. Today, we're joined by Luke Bracey and Crosby Fitzgerald, who play Charles and Caroline Ingalls. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Very well. Thanks for having us.
I'm doing great. My mom was a huge fan of Little House on the Prairie, so I just grew up watching all of the old shows. And it has meant so much to generations of readers and viewers. What was your first reaction when you found out that you'd be playing Charles and Caroline Ingalls?
Oh, I sort of screamed and cried, I think. Yeah, it's daunting, but it was extremely exciting because I loved the scripts and I really trusted the creators of the show and was ready to sort of take on this new approach to the literature.
Yeah, I was thrilled to play this character of Charles because I just saw kind of a wonderful story and a good man. And I think the world needs nice stories about people trying to be good people and trying their best in a hard world and realizing that they need their family and they need their community. And, you know, that was the real thrill for me when it came to this job. It's a nice story about people trying their best and not always succeeding and not being perfect. I just thought that was a wonderful opportunity and a wonderful story to have the privilege of being a part of.
And this series honors the original stories while creating something fresh for today's audience. How did each of you guys approach making these iconic characters your own?
I think, you know, I wanted to honor what was in the books and kind of what we know of Caroline vaguely, but I also was really excited to sort of see her as a human who is flawed and complex and, you know, it has a lot of room to grow. And that's what I loved about the script, I think. And there was a lot in the script that I got to play with, I think, in learning about Caroline as a full person who's, you know, a wife and a mother is just two of the many things that she is. And I love how the script did that in these stories.
And one of the things people have always loved about Little House on the Prairie is that it celebrates family while never shying away from the realities of frontier life. What do you think audiences will connect with most in this new adaptation?
I think they might connect with the fact that life's always been difficult. You know, life's difficult now, and life was difficult then, and life's going to be difficult in the future. But if you've got good people around you and you're trying to be a good person, you've got good kind of core of people helping each other, be that family or community or friends or whatever it is, that's where you really succeed in life rather than just doing it yourself. No one really makes it by just doing it themselves. I think that might be something that people take from it. It takes a village to get far in life. It's really hard to just be a one-man band and try and break through the realities of the world, which are that there's things that are going to come and try and drag you down. And without other people around you, you won't get through them.
And whether someone grew up with the books or the original television series or experienced Little House on the Prairie for the very first time, what do you hope they take away from this version?
I think it's such a great, it takes a greater view of the prairie and of the frontier. I think that's what's really excited about our series. And I don't know, there is something timeless about looking at history through the eyes of a child, because we have children all the time that are experiencing life now, and it will one day be history. And I think it's really important to see, you know, history in sort of through the lens of a child in a sort of an aspirational way that we can all kind of learn from.
Yeah, there's hope there, right? Yeah. There's hope that even though life is tough, it can be you can make it through the tough times. I think that's what children always have. They can see that life might be hard, but they always see out the other side of it somehow. They have to.
Hey, I want to thank you two for joining me today. Little House on the Prairie is available now to stream on Netflix. Luke Bracey, Crosby Fitzgerald, I want to thank you two for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having us. Good to talk to you.
Most of us have never heard of synovial sarcoma, but recognizing the signs early can make a real difference. July is Sarcoma Awareness Month, and today we're learning more about this rare form of cancer, why specialized care matters, and how testing may help guide treatment decisions. Joining us today are Dr. Janet Yoon from City of Hope and Lindsay, a military veteran who has lived through this journey. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
We're doing great. Thank you for having us.
Glad to have you both here today. Dr. Yoon, for people who may be hearing about synovial sarcoma for the first time, what is it and what symptoms should they be watching for?
Synovial sarcoma is a rare cancer, which falls under a larger category called soft tissue sarcomas. It tends to affect patients in the adolescent young adult age groups, typically ages 15 to 39. It often presents with pain and may be associated with a lump, usually in the arms or legs.
Why is synovial sarcoma such a challenging cancer to treat, and how does it affect patients and people caring for them?
So the earlier it's diagnosed, the more likely it is to respond to treatment. Unfortunately, if it has metastasized, and that's usually to the lungs, our 5-year survival rates are only about 20%. And as I mentioned earlier, this tumor affects patients in the prime of their lives, like Lindsay, which makes it particularly devastating.
And Lindsay, you went from noticing pain during routine workouts and eventually finding specialized care. How did that experience change your treatment journey?
Definitely. Seeking out specialized care definitely changed my treatment journey. It completely changed my world. I initially thought that I had simply pulled a muscle or that I didn't stretch right, but when physical therapy and pain medications weren't helping, that definitely set off a red flag that something was wrong. I initially noticed that something was wrong when I would do squats and my left leg wouldn't go all the way down compared to my right leg. Whenever I'd force the movement, I'd had a stinging pain in my inner left thigh. That pain would soon present itself again when I would do lunges. Again, my left leg wouldn't go all the way down and I had a sharp stinging pain. So that definitely caused me to go get seen.
Dr. Yoon, you've mentioned the importance of biomarker testing early in the diagnosis process. Why is that testing so valuable, and how can patients start that conversation with their doctor?
So as we're learning more about cancers, we're discovering that certain tumor types, such as synovial sarcoma, are associated with biomarkers that may drive treatment decisions. It's incredibly important to seek care at sarcoma specialized centers, such as ours here at City of Hope National Medical Center in Duarte, California, given the rarity of this tumor type.
All right, where can people go to learn more about synovial sarcoma and biomarker testing?
You can go to sarcomabiomarkertesting.com to learn more.
Hey, I want to thank you two for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Summer meals should be fresh and easy, not something that keeps you stuck in a hot kitchen. Whether you're cooking for the family or just looking for new ideas, a few simple shortcuts could go a long way. Joining us is chef and best-selling author and Queer Eye star Antoni Porowski with easy ways to elevate your summer cooking. Welcome to the show, Antoni. How are you?
Hey, I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm doing fine myself. What are some easy ways to elevate some summer cooking?
Okay, so the easiest way is just go to your local grocery store, pick up a bag of Fresh Express. Everything you need is pretty much inside. But if you're like me and you can't help yourself and you always have to customize things a little bit, their kits are really fantastic canvases for whatever route you want to take. Case in point, the Twisted Pesto Caesar, which is like a recent favorite of mine. I added a salmon fillet. I took the croutons that were already in a little bag, crushed them up, added some chopped almonds and fresh basil, a bit of lemon zest and parm, topped it on the salmon, roasted it, and then you have a full complete meal. Added some little polenta cubes from one of those wheels you can get that's already sort of like par cooked. So you just bake it with some paprika and Parmesan for a nice little chewy crunch. And then I had a bag of grapes laying around in the fridge, because who doesn't? Cut them in half, tossed them in some red wine vinegar for a nice little pickly acidic pop, and then you have a full complete meal.
I love it. Can you tell us about the other one that you have in front of you today?
Yes, for sure. So this is the creamy mushroom Caesar. I love mushrooms. They can add a really great deal of umami if you season them properly. So I went ahead and baked the mushrooms to have these like little bacon bits, in air quotes, because it's not literal bacon. And then chicken breast. My thing with chicken breast is that very often people overcook it and it just dries out, but it's a really good, clean source of protein. So I went ahead and seared it on a pan, and then at the end, sprinkled some Parmesan. You can use other cheeses if you prefer, but I just like the sharpness of it. And it creates this nice, beautiful, cheesy, salty crust that just keeps those juices in and gives you a pretty darn good meal.
All right. Do you have any tips for making meal prep quicker without sacrificing flavor?
Yes. So chicken breast, if you can't even be bothered to cook it, again, back to the grocery store, get one of those beautiful rotisserie chickens that are available. Take it apart, and that's great meal prep for the week. What's nice is that often if they're only flavored with like lemon pepper or like limited herbs, you can kind of choose your own adventure with however you want to use them. And it's one of those ingredients that'll just last you a really long time.
You're also giving people a chance to cook alongside you this summer. How can viewers enter for that opportunity?
So the Cooking with Antoni contest, 25 people are going to be able to cook with me virtually, start to finish. You can get more information at freshexpresscontest.com. But we're actually going to be taking one of my takes on a Fresh Express classic and making it my own. And a lot of the tips and tricks that I use throughout, people can use for other dishes and kind of like hopefully apply them to other meals in their life. I think that's the point, right?
Exactly. Where can people go for more information?
freshexpresscontest.com.
Antoni, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Hurricane season is here, and we know how quickly a storm can force families from their homes. So finding a place to stay can be one of the biggest challenges after a disaster. Joining us is Christoph Gorder, Executive Director of Airbnb.org, a nonprofit that helps connect people with free emergency housing when hurricanes and other disasters strike. Welcome to the show, Christoph. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me on. It's good to be on.
Hurricane season is underway, and these storms seem to be getting stronger. What are you seeing on the ground, and how is Airbnb.org preparing?
Well, you're absolutely right. The storms are getting more frequent, more intense. We're seeing this, across the country, the wildfires in the west, the tornadoes and storms in the central part of the country. And of course, in Florida and on the eastern seaboard, you've got the risk of hurricanes. And so we all need to be very vigilant. And the good news is we're more prepared than we ever have been. The forecasting models are better than they ever have been. The communications methods are better than they ever have been. And organizations like ours, like Airbnb.org, are better prepared to be able to move quickly when there is a disaster to help survivors. In our case, we provide emergency housing to people who've been displaced.
Airbnb.org has now provided 1.6 million nights of free emergency housing since 2020. How does that process work when disaster strikes?
So when there's a disaster, we partner with a local nonprofit, and they help us identify the families in need. So by working with a nonprofit that's active locally, they're already embedded in the community. Many times they're able to provide a lot of other services. And so we fit into an existing system. And when they identify the families and send them to us, they refer them to us, and we then transfer Airbnb credits, basically do a cash transfer into that family's Airbnb account. If they don't have an Airbnb account, we set one up for them. And then they get to book whatever Airbnb they want and have a free stay. And so that is really hugely impactful for a family that has lost control over lots of aspects of their lives. They might have lost their homes. Now they can choose the place that fits for them. They may need a wheelchair accessible place that takes pets. They want to be near their kid's school. And so the power of this is that they are able to hop on and find any Airbnb anywhere in the network that's going to fit their family's needs.
Besides making a donation, what is the best way for people to get involved and help their communities before the next hurricane?
Well, I mean, the most important thing is that you make a plan with your family so that you're ready when this happens and you're not improvising, and then pay attention to the hurricane warnings and the instructions, from local emergency management authorities. That's what saves lives and helps people get out of harm's way. I think when the disaster happens, then we're ready to swing into action and start housing people. If you want to learn more about our program, you can hop on our website, Airbnb.org. You can learn about the programs that we're running around the world. We respond to a different disaster every 2 days around the world, and there's always something going on, and there's a huge need out there.
So where can people go to become an Airbnb.org host or even make a donation themselves?
So you can jump on our website. If you're an Airbnb host, you can sign up for the program. We have tens of thousands of hosts who offer discounts to us so that our donation dollars go further. And if you want to make a donation, 100% of your donation is going to get transferred directly to a family in need. And that's because Airbnb covers all of our operating expenses. So the model works really, really well. We've been able to help a lot of people in Florida already. Just over the course of the last 5 years, we've provided more than 40,000 nights of free stays just in Florida. So we hope you never need our services, but if you do, we're here to help.
Christoph Gorder, I really want to thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me on.
Dog owners know the feeling. You lean in for a little quality time with your best friend, and suddenly Their breath steals the moment. Not only is it gross, but it could also be a sign of a time to pay a little more attention to your dog's oral health. Pet parenting expert Kristen Levine joins us with some simple ways to help get those moments a little more enjoyable. Great to have you here, Kristen. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's great to be here.
All right. Is bad breath something that comes with having a dog, or is it usually a sign that something else is going on?
Well, it can be, but it's usually a sign that there's bacteria that has turned into plaque and tartar and built up on your dog's teeth. That's the most common cause of bad dog breath. Now, that's kind of a red flag for pet parents. You should realize that that might be a reason to pay more attention to their oral health care routine, like you mentioned. But also, bad dog breath comes in between our dog and our relationship. You don't want to cuddle and snuggle as much when your dog has bad breath. So we want to get that taken care of so you can enjoy those benefits of being so close to your dog.
And for people who want to improve their dog's oral health, what are a few easy habits that can easily become part of a daily routine?
Yeah, I have 4 habits to share with you, and this will take care of the problem for sure. The first one is make sure you're making those annual veterinary appointments for the general checkup. Those always include a dental exam, and your vet is the one that can tell you if your dog needs a teeth cleaning. Also, they can identify if there's any other problems that might be causing that odor. But at home, there are 3 other habits you can implement for fresher dog breath, and those include making sure your dog has plenty of fresh, clean water, because dehydration can actually contribute to bad breath. Also, you want to try to brush your dog's teeth, if you can, once, even twice a week. Any brushing you can do is really going to cut down on that plaque and tartar. And then the third habit I want you to implement, which is going to be your dog's favorite, and that is adding dental treats to your daily routine. And ideally, you want to use something that obviously your dogs enjoy, but also has some properties that are going to really improve their breath.
And dental treats, they become really popular. What should pet parents know before choosing one, and how do Minty's Fresh Bites fit into that overall approach?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you want to look for something that has ingredients that are going to support fresh breath. Of course, you want a treat that has a good texture that your dog will enjoy and stay engaged with. And ideally, you want a treat that's low in calories so that you can treat them multiple times a day. And that's why here at our house, Tulip gets Minty's Fresh Bites 4 times a day. I love them because they've got 5 all natural breath freshening herbs like parsley and peppermint. They're only 7.5 calories a piece, and they also have a texture that she really enjoys chewing on. So we've built a routine at our house that she gets 4 a day. One is before her morning walk. One is before her afternoon nap. One she gets for just being a good girl, and then one at bedtime. And by building it in multiple times a day, you're not over-treating because the calories are so low, but you're also giving them a chance to chew and get the benefit of those herbs and also of that scraping of the plaque and tartar.
All right, so if viewers want to learn more or find additional pet care resources, where should they go?
Yeah, they can just visit mintys.com. You can also pick up those Fresh Bites at Walmart, Chewy, Amazon, and Petco.
Kristen Levine, I really want to thank you for joining me today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
And that is it for Rise Unwind. I want to thank you for tuning in and checking out the show. You can find us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. Just look up at Rise Unwind. And until next week, that was the show we like to call Rise and Unwind.